All right, here we go. So Mr. Nemesis and all of this bad boy's got to take care of. Nemesis is on the docket, rocket, ready to pocket all the goods that come through with taking all the fun and all the goody stuff. So Nemesis, first and foremost, we'll go over his powers, who he is, all the goody good two shoes on Homeboy here. So first and foremost, the Nemesis comes with a brand new power called the T-Virus from Resident Evil. Hell yeah. So he has a tentacle strike, and it's a ranged attack, and it starts off with a short range, about 4 yards, 5 yards or so, and basically it levels up every time he hits something with it, whether it be a survivor or one of his other special powers is that he has 2 zombies that roam the map, which you can see through a white outline. In that white outline, those zombies will follow other survivors until they find them. They will continue to roam the map until they get one of them inside of their vision cone. So the tentacle strike has 3 different tiers, or I think it's called rates. And so tier 1 just is about as basic as it can get. It just does a little tentacle strike, a blue slash onto the ground. It's very, very thin, very, very hard to hit, easy to dodge. So if he does hit a survivor, 2 things happen. One is that his power will start to level up, much like Michael Myers does when he goes up in tiers. So does this one happen in rates. And he gets it when he hits a survivor or if he destroys a zombie with the tentacle strike. When a zombie is destroyed, it will disappear, and then 30 seconds later, a new one will respawn and continue its path looking for survivors. Once it hits rate 2, it will be able to use the tentacle strike to destroy pallets and breakable walls. Very strong distinction, though. It cannot hit a survivor and break it at the same time. So, for instance, if a survivor jumps over a pallet while this is striking, it will hit the survivor. But if the survivor is behind the pallet, it'll break the pallet and not hit the survivor, even if they were in range or in the line of fire for the tentacle strike. And then at level 3, it increases the range, and I think it jumps up to 8 yards. As far as how it's able to hit things. The tentacle strike can go over objects that he can see. So it's not over. You can't hit through boxes. You can't hit through things. But as long as you can see the survivor over the box, typically the hit will register. And what that hit does to a survivor is that it gives them the T-Virus. And so it turns their icon blue on the left side of the screen. And it makes it so that the next time they are struck by either a zombie or your T-Virus your tentacle strike, then they will become injured or in the dying state based on their health state. And so you're incentivized to hit both zombies and survivors to level up your tentacle strike so that it becomes a little bit more lethal as time goes on. And as you continue to use it, so does it gain in strength and viability as you get into different loops and are able to hit them over things and hit them farther away. Makes them very, very useful. It also, whether or not it does damage states or if it puts somebody in the T-Virus state, it puts the survivor in the running animation, 150% movement speed, just like you would see with Sprint Burst or Life. And so can be a problem with catching a survivor after you hit them once. And so you kind of move from there. And then obviously his normal attack, he just punches really, really hard, and that's a normal melee range attack. The Nemesis comes with 3 perks. The first one is Eruption. So what happens is that whenever he kicks a generator, it turns it yellow. And so whenever a survivor enters the dying state, not the injured state, every generator explodes. So everyone that he kicks. So he could technically kick all 7 generators on a map if all of them were touched and no other survivor touches them. Then they will lose 6% worth of progress and they start to regress. So it's like a applied ruin that can only be stopped by a survivor working on it on a generator. But if a survivor is working on a generator when the explosion happens, meaning that it had to have been kicked by the Nemesis or the killer, if you use this perk on another killer, and a survivor is working on it, makes them incapacitated. And the incapacitated status effect means they literally can do nothing. Very much like Tier 3 of the Doctor. Eruption has a 30-second cooldown. Not the strongest perk, honestly. It has some very, very niche uses, but more often than not, some of the other regressing perks are just so much more powerful than Eruption. He has Hysteria. What Hysteria does is whenever a healthy survivor becomes injured, not injured to dead, when healthy to injured, all other injured survivors suffer from Oblivious, which means that you no longer have a terror radius and you no longer have the red stain for 30 seconds. And Hysteria can trigger every 30 seconds. So technically, if there was a rounding loop where you timed it perfectly, you you could make the entire injured populace of survivors that you're playing against unable to hear or see you outside of your footsteps, which are loud, as you guys will come to understand here shortly. Lastly, Lethal Pursuer. Nemesis at the very start of a trial will see all survivors for 9 seconds. So these perks have niche opportunities. The Lethal Pursuer is the one that actually has the most meta type usage. Eruption, again, not as strong as some of the other regression perks, unless you plan on using it in a way that survivors don't expect, which can always be powerful. It just isn't going to have the impact that you're hoping for it to have. Hysteria does not have the impact that you would hope it would have, because regardless if you're oblivious or not, catching up to survivors in that 30 seconds from knocking out a healthy survivor to injured means that you're either abandoning the one that you're chasing, or trying to find the other survivors in that period, and so it just doesn't have the gusto that you would hope for in that 30-second period. You don't gain enough value. Obviously there's opportunities where it can work, but again, so niche that it's hard to justify one of the 4 slots for. Lethal Pursuer, on the other hand, can be used for a very specific set of killers, and it's the ones that have the highest impact early, that need to get the ball rolling. So Blight, Nurse, Oni, even the Spirit to an extent. Obviously all of them can use it, but Hillbilly, anyone who has the ability, if they can get onto a target, they can have immediate impact and start snowballing the game or creating that pressure. Lethal Pursuer is actually a very, very optimal perk to take for them, because you immediately know where the survivors are, where they're moving, what generators they're on, and the ability to be able to disrupt their game plan and get that ball rolling as soon as possible. A lot of games are lost in the first minute and a half or so if you're not able to actually get onto any of them, at least starting the chase. Whether or not you get something out of that chase is up to skill and tiles, but Lethal Pursuer helps to alleviate some of that luck factor. And so this is the perk that is generally accepted as the best one from Nemesis, and actually has some all-around use. And so the Nemesis also has a set of add-ons ranging from being able to extend how far your zombies detect survivors, to how much you gain when you kill a zombie, their movement speed, whether or not survivors, when they use vaccines, I forgot to mention this in the T-Virus, but vaccines, there's 4 of them every map, and so survivors can quote-unquote heal themselves. It's actually considered an item, so they'll have to switch the item out and use it, but when they do use the vaccine, it removes the T-Virus from them, and means so that once they're hit again by either a zombie or by Nemesis's Tentacle Strike, then they'll become infected once more. Some of the more unique things that occur in the game is, so right here, Shattered Stars badge. Zombies will be faster than survivors for 30 seconds after a generator is repaired, so it allows them to actually chase after a survivor. Again, because of the AI in the game, though it can be useful, it's very rarely able to capitalize, especially when you can only use it 5 times in a game. And then the Iridescent Umbrella badge. Survivors are inflicted with the exposed status effect for 12 seconds when using a vaccine. 12 seconds isn't long enough for you to be able to M1 them, because the exposed status effect doesn't apply to your Tentacle Strike. So again, the niche ones really just don't have a lot of true value. The 2 that actually are considered usable by the Nemesis is the Nia Parasite, right? The Alpha Parasite for the T-Virus, which when receiving the contamination effect, which is the T-Virus, they'll suffer from oblivious status for 60 seconds. 60 seconds is long enough to be able to make plays, be able to mind game survivors with them not being able to see or hear you as you're moving around tiles. You're able to get on top of them a little bit easier. But that's when they receive the contamination effect, so you're already in the chase. One that's considered a little bit more valuable is the surprise factor of Serotonin Injector. So whenever you destroy a zombie, you are undetectable for 15 seconds. And so combining Serotonin Injector with Zombie Heart means that you'll be able to get through your rates much faster and consistently, because the chances of you hitting a survivor is, dictated by spacing, tiles, and how good you are and how good they are. Whereas the zombies, you see them on the map and they don't move quickly out of your Tentacle Strike. So you can kill your own zombies to gain that rate faster, and then gain the undetectable status and pull some unique plays with the Nemesis. And so with the Nemesis and his absolutely massive smile, how happy he is to see everybody, he's able to accommodate and considered obviously subjective opinions from everybody, but considered an A-tier killer. He's good, he's not great, but he's not bad either. He can be oppressive. He's very effective at locking down survivors, and especially a really, really good Nemesis that can, you know, zone a survivor into where his zombies are, can have some really, really cool impacts in trapping them in a spot and then just immediately downing them very, very quickly. And so he's very, I mean, I kind of consider him a little bit high rolly in how the zombies play a factor in the game, but still you're able to impact the game in a very, very specific way. But anyway, you know, give you a video of what it looks like from both sides and kind of go from there.